Welcome back to another video on the channel. With the Australian Open just a matter of a few weeks away, I thought it would be a perfect time to try the impossible task of predicting the 2022 Women's Grand Slam winners. I'm just going to go for, I think, a win each tournament, achieve danger / runner-up, and also pick an outsider. So starting things off in Melbourne, as I said, gets underway in a few weeks. Can't wait for that one. I'm going to pick the champion as Garbiñe Muguruza. And Muguruza, when she first, really came on the scene in 2016-17, winning the French Open and Wimbledon, myself and many others thought that Muguruza would not perhaps dominate the sport, but certainly be a multiple Grand Slam champion, win all four majors, I thought, and be in the top three of the women's game for many, many years. And the career hasn't quite panned out as I expected. She fell out with the rankings in 2018 and 19, not playing the best tennis at all. But in the last couple of years, she's really bounced back, particularly on the hard courts, reaching the 2020 Australian Open final, losing to Sophia Kenin. Last year, she done well on the hard courts as well. And I think Muguruza is a player that got fantastic confidence. She won the WTA finals at the end of 2021. Makes her one of the top players in the world. I think we'll go to the Australian Open ranked around 3. So she's going to get good draws along the way. And I think if Muguruza is aggressive, hitting the forehand very well, got one of the best forehands in the WTA, and I can see Muguruza making a great run for the title. And, with Naomi Osaka being out of the game for so long in 2021, it's fantastic to see her back, happy, healthy, ready to compete. And it's just a matter of, does Osaka need some more match fitness? Will it take her a couple of months to get fully up to speed? I've gone for Osaka as runner-up because I do think she's by far and away the best hardcore player in the world. But just for that reason of lack of match fitness, didn't play very many tournaments at all in 2021. And it might just take her a good few tournaments, a few matches against top 10 players to really get back up to speed and in good enough shape to win a Grand Slam. But if Osaka was to return somewhere 80-90% near her best, work into the tournament as she goes. I know she's got a couple of warm-up events before getting underway in Melbourne. There's no reason why Naomi Osaka couldn't win her 5th hardcore Grand Slam title of her very early career. As I said, I do think she's the best hardcore player in the world. For an outside, I'm going to go with Coco Gauff. She's had success at this tournament in the past, beating Naomi Osaka to get through to the 4th round when she was just 16 years old, I think it was, also beating Venus Williams. And I just thought with the emergence of the likes of Clara Tauson and Leylah Fernandez reaching a Grand Slam final, Emma Raducanu winning the US Open, Coco Gauff's sort of gone under the radar. And I think the lack of pressure on her shoulders now, there's eyes on Emma Raducanu, probably more so than Coco Gauff now. And I think that could certainly help her. I think Coco Gauff's an outstanding young talent. I've got no doubt that she'll go on to be a top 10 player and challenge for Grand Slams for many, many years. And I think, if Gauff could reach the second week, she's capable of upsetting anybody. I think she looks physically very strong. I saw some training videos of her in Melbourne, and I think she's clearly been working very hard in the off-season. She's certainly grown into her body now, looks physically a lot stronger than what she did when she first emerged on the scene. So I'm tipping Gauff to have a very good year in starting off well at the Australian Open. Moving on to Paris now, the second Grand Slam of 2022. And I'm going to go for Iga Swiatek to win the title that she won in 2020. This one pretty much explains itself. She came along, won the clay court title without dropping a single set at just 19 years old, which was an outstanding achievement. I think she had a 11-match win streak before it got ended last year in the 4th round. But she did win I think it was Italian Open before that, which just exemplifies her quality, her conviction on the clay court. I think, Swiatek's a player that can play on all different surfaces. She adapts the game very well. Analyzes the courts very well, studies, and she can just play any type of tennis. She's got a fantastic defense, great counter puncher. She's got the backhand down the line to switch up the rallies, great variety, fantastic mental strength. And I think, Swiatek's a player that's going to be at the top of the women's rankings, challenging for every single Grand Slam every year. And I think the fact that she only reached the 4th round of each Grand Slam last year was probably a disappointment on her part. Despite the fact she's very young, she's got lofty expectations, and I think she will have been slightly disappointed with the Grand Slam performances last year. So I expect her to bounce back in 2022 and produce some of her very best tennis in the biggest stage. It wouldn't surprise me at all if she turned up at the French Open and won it. I think the hard courts tournaments are preferred for the younger players. You know, they grow up on hard courts now. They like the pace in the ball. They like the redirecting the pace. And I think the French Open's a little bit more difficult to win. There's less likely players to win the French Open, the likes of Badosa and Swiatek and Ashley Barty at home on clay courts. But other than that, I think, you know, most of the younger players favour the hard courts these days. As a runner-up, I'm going to go for Paula Badosa. You know, she had a fantastic 2021, winning the clay court title, doing very well in some of the Grand Slams last year and rising up the rankings. I think she's one of those players like Krejcikova and like Annette Kontaveit, who's going into 2022 in fantastic form. You know, Badosa grew up in Spain. She grew up on the hard court, similar to Rafael Nadal, her Spanish compatriot. So I think Badosa, a little bit like Swiatek and Jabeur and Barty, are really at home on clay court. She's got fantastic variety, great movement, can mix up her game very well. And I think Badosa will be really wanting to make her mark on the clay court season next year and try and progress into the top 10. For an outsider, I'm going to go with Ons Jabeur. I've been a big fan of Ons Jabeur for many years. I think she's very unorthodox, very entertaining. She's a blockbuster player, crowd pleaser, and I think she's just outstanding to watch. You know, some of the shots that Jabeur plays, I think she's the only player that could play them on the WTA. She's very crafty, as I said, unorthodox. She loves the drop shot. Got a wonderful backhand, single-hander, huge power on the forehand. And although she lacks a little bit of consistency, a little bit of fitness, I think, down the back in the Grand Slams, I think Jabeur is a player certainly on the rise. You know, she's well inside the top 30 now, and I think her career is going to go from strength to strength. I think she's an outstanding talent. I think if she can perhaps rein a game a little bit more, be a little bit more consistent and patient in the big moments, then she's certainly capable of reaching quarterfinals, semi-finals. So I'm going to go with Ons Jabeur as my outside pick for next year's French Open. Moving on to my personal favourite Grand Slam of the year, Wimbledon, I'm going to pick Ashley Barty to defend her Wimbledon title. And similarly to what I was saying about the French Open, I think the younger players aren't perhaps as used to playing the grass. The grass court season isn't anywhere near as long as what the hard court season is. I think it takes a good few years of experience, and I think, you know, players like Simona Halep and Ashley Barty and Angelique Kerber, who've been there and won Wimbledon, has certainly got a huge advantage. I think Ashley Barty was such a worthy champion last year. I thought she played fantastically well throughout. She handled the final pressure incredibly well. She's got fantastic variation. The variety in her backhand, you know, the double-hander down the line, double-hander cross court, the slice, the drop shot. I think that's what really makes her a massive favourite at Wimbledon. The fact that she can play just about any shot in the backhand. She's got a fantastic serve, which is important on the grass. She follows it up with real conviction and great hands at the net. And I just think Barty's a perfect grass court player. She loves Wimbledon. She loves playing the grass. And I'm going to go as a run-up as Angelique Kerber, who won this title back in 2018, and now she's in mid-30s. She's still playing some very, very strong tennis. You know, she reached the semi-final of Wimbledon last year, and she was narrowly defeated in the semi-finals by Caroline Pliskova. And I think Kerber, you know, she's got a fantastic defense. She's a great counter-puncher. She works very, very hard. She works to get every ball back in court. Uses the lefty serve very well at Wimbledon as well. Follows it inside with an out forehand. And I think Kerber's always going to be a threat on the grass for however long she's playing. She's a player that, as I said, she's got lots and lots of experience, winning experiences at Wimbledon, which is very important. And if she comes up against, you know, a young player on grass who's perhaps not played much on the surface, then Kerber's going to have that advantage. And I predict Kerber to have another strong year next year. I think she's, you know, a very consistent, strong player, and she'd be my runner-up pick at Wimbledon. And as an outside, I'm going to go with Jelena Samsonova, who, you know, didn't do too much on the WTA last year, but certainly performed on the grass courts. You know, she won a WTA maiden title in Berlin and then followed up with a fourth round run at Wimbledon. That was a very good season for her. And I just think she looked at home on the grass court. She performed very, very well. And as an outside pick, she could be one to watch on the grass courts next year. Finally, I'm going to go for the US Open, and I'm going to predict Naomi Osaka to win her 5th Grand Slam of her career. I just think with Osaka, as I mentioned at the very start, it wouldn't be a surprise to me at all if she turned up to the Australian Open and won it. Her ground strokes are just devastating on the quick court, whether it's the backhand, the forehand, if the serve's on motion, the return of serve. She's just got fantastically big weapons, and she times the ball so well on the hard courts. And I think, she could win the Australian Open, but that's what I mentioned at the start of the video there, the lack of the match fitness. But by the US Open, if she's still happy and healthy and playing at that point, she should be fully up to speed. And she loves conditions in the US. She's won the title twice, and I'd fully expect Naomi Osaka to have a very, very deep run in New York, and I wouldn't be batting against her. Naomi Osaka at 90 to 100% on a fast hard court is, in my opinion, pretty much unstoppable. So I'm going to go with Osaka to win the final Grand Slam of the year. As a runner-up, I'm going to go with Aryna Sabalenka, and she's won very many titles on the hard courts. She's a devastating player, similarly to Osaka. Got huge ground strokes, particularly on the forehand side, a fantastic serve. I'm still not sure mentally whether she's quite ready to win a Grand Slam yet. She's been in many quarterfinals, but not really performed at absolute best in the biggest matches. It does seem to get a little bit erratic. Beats herself up in the big moments, over hits, and sort of gives games away. I do think she's getting better with that over time. Wimbledon semi-final last year, she didn't really do a lot wrong in the semi-final defeat, but I wouldn't favour in a matchup against Naomi Osaka. I think Osaka's got a little bit more experience and a little bit more consistency on the big ground strokes. As an outside pick, and it's one player I would really like to see have a very strong 2022. Bianca Andreescu stormed to winning this title back in 2019 as a teenager when she beat Serena Williams in the final with what was a stunning performance. And unfortunately for her, she suffered a very serious knee injury, and she's never really recovered from that. She was out of the game for a year. She came back last year and fought very, very hard, played some very good tennis, but was inconsistent due to match fitness. And I think she's just really struggled to cope with the mental pressures of having an injury and having to return back to the top. It's very difficult to recover and make your way back to the top of the game. She looked to be having to try very, very hard to win every single match last year. She came through some marathon matches, and I think at the start of 2022, she's took a break out of the game due to just wanting a break mentally, I think, from the sport. And it would be a massive shame if Bianca Andreescu didn't come on to be a superstar, because when she, won the US Open, beating Serena Williams in the finals as a teenager, it was one of the best Grand Slam performances I think we've ever seen from a teenager at the US Open. And, it'd be brilliant to see her get back fully fit, raring to go. And if she did, by the time the US Open came round, she'd be a huge, huge threat to everybody in a fast hard court. So they're my 4 picks to win Grand Slams this year. If you do have opinions of your own, any outsiders that you think could go well at any of the 4 slams, do leave them in the comment section below. I do always enjoy reading those. Thank you for watching another video. Please do leave a like if you enjoyed it. And if you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. Thanks for watching again, and I will see you